Hello there, Vlad here, welcome to my studio. Today we're checking out the NUX Trident, which is a multi-effects unit, but it's kind of aimed for a more traditional pedal board loving player. What do I mean by that? Let's find out next. I think the Trident is an updated version of the Cerberus, which was my first ever video I did of any NUX product, and that video got me in touch with the company, and roughly 30 videos later, here we are. Compared to the Cerberus, the Trident just has more of everything, if you will. There's more foot switches, amp models, I/O, more powerful processing, and the amp modeling has seen an improvement as well. By the way, be sure to update your Cerberus unit to the latest software version. Instructions how to do that and the files you need to download in the description. Because if you're not running the same version or a newer version of what I'm using, some of the things that I'm doing here won't apply to your unit. The build quality on the NUX Trident is really good. Everything feels solid, the foot switches feel like they're going to last you a long time, the knobs, everything feels sturdy, and I feel this unit is built especially for live use. The I/O on the NUX Trident is really good. There's the expression pedal in, guitar input, send and return, so basically an effects loop which you can configure to serial, parallel or branch, which just sends signal to your power amp, for example. Then there's the aux in, there's a global master volume, which I think is a great idea, ground lift switch, stereo DI out, 2 line level outputs and a headphones out, and this unit also does MIDI and it ships with an adapter as well. Then there's the USB-C port, and again it ships with the cable. And then there's the power supply in, and it obviously ships with the power supply as well, and the current draw is a very reasonable 500 mA DC 9 volts, which means you could power the unit with a lot of external power supplies out there. Inside the unit itself you will find 35 effects, 27 amps with matching guitar cabinets, there's 4 different microphones with 3 different mic positions, custom patches and IRs from Choptones, and if you're wondering which ones are the Choptone IRs, they're the ones where you don't see a microphone in front of the cabinet in the desktop editor. The unit allows you to do different kind of delay and reverb routings, and what's interesting is that on this unit itself, signal actually runs from right to left as on your traditional pedal board, but then on the desktop editor it's from left to right. It can feel a little bit confusing at first, but I think they wanted to appease the more traditional user. The unit also offers USB recording, so you just plug in the USB cable into your computer and it shows up as an audio interface, and you can not only use that for recording, but you can use it for reamping as well. There's a 30-second looper as well that we're going to check out later, and then it also ships with a bunch of presets that are made by influencers and professional musicians. Alright, the basic way this unit works is basically you have banks of 3, so 1A, 1B and 1C that you can actually see on the desktop editor well. These 3 buttons will reflect those, and then there are different preset banks in a group of 3. So right now we are on 1A. If we want to go to 2B, for example, we click up once, the number 2 is flashing there, and then we can choose between A, B and C, and we wanted to go to 2B. So we are on 2B now. And I know somebody's going to ask this, so let's do it right away. Let's see if there's a noticeable gap between the different presets. Is that good? Is that bad? What do you think? Then within this activated preset you also get your reverb, delay, modulation, effects and a boost as well. So you might be able to do the whole gig with just one preset, or if you're playing in a cover band, for example, you can create a preset per song, for example, and then just trigger a bunch of these elements on and off during the song. You can also activate the tuner by holding the boost for a little while, and it's a tuner, it works. Then as you can see, there's a bunch of controls for the delay, so you can choose between the bucket brigade, tape and digital delay. Then there's a switch to run them in parallel, delay into the reverb and reverb into delay as well, and here you can choose between the 3 different reverbs as well. Let's give it a try. And then the different routings, parallel, delay into reverb, bucket brigade delay, and digital. There's also a smart tap control for the delay, so we can just click this and get the tempo. Then we can jump to the modulation, chorus, tremolo, phaser, and then we can engage the effects, so compressor, which you can't really hear. You can feel it, filter, and pitch. And as you can tell, there's a row of controls over here as well, and these actually affect the amp. So gain, overall level of the power amp, bass, middle, treble, on those amps that actually have that. And then there's the presence control as well. You can disengage and engage the EQ, cap, amp, and noise reduction. And if you want to edit, let's say, the drive pedal, we have a boost, as you can see on the desktop editor. We're going to click here. Then we're going to go to the... Oh, sorry, it's the other way around. So there you go. There's a compressor. There's the drive over here. And if we want to edit it, we're going to click it again. And the way you operate this is very simple. There's 4 buttons here, and you can see 4 kind of texts over here. So if I want to adjust the tone of this, I'm going to click amp, which kind of represents number 2 here. And then I can just rotate and have as much or as little tone I want. If I want to tweak the drive, I'm going to click here, and I can do that here as well. If I want to tweak the level, I'm going to go here, and now it's highlighted, and I can tweak that. And when we're done here, we can just click this button again. And let's say we want to decrease the gain on the amp. We go here, we're going to click the amp. And as you can see, we now have 1/3, so we can actually go like this. And all of these 3 pages change. And now it's the same thing again. So this button is over here, and there's 3 controls. So we can use amp, cap, or EQ buttons, and it changes here. And then we can tweak that parameter as we want. And if we want to go to the next page, we just rotate over here. And we're on the page number 2. And now these 3 controls control, well, bass, middle, and treble. And you can see how it reflects on the desktop editor as well. And again, once we're done, go here. And if you want to save, we just hold save. Click again. And we have now saved this preset. And yeah, you can basically edit everything in the unit from this tiny display, though I would say it's a bit more fun with the desktop editor. But for live situations, it's incredibly cool that you can do this much from such a small display. They've done an incredible job designing this user interface. Alright, let's do something fun and create a rig for me. So we're actually going to do 3 patches here. 1 for my tele, 1 for the VHC over here, and 1 for an acoustic guitar, because this is a realistic situation I could find myself in. So 2 electrics and an acoustic guitar as well. Alright, I have my 3 presets set up. So I have Worship Tele, Worship VHC, and Worship Acoustic, all within the same 31 preset bank. And we're gonna start with the tele, and I'll have to have some noise reduction. So if I forget my guitar on, or like don't roll down the volume, there's no noise happening. So we can just hit the noise reduction button over here, which refuses to work right now. And we can engage that by just going here, double click it, and click the noise gate on. Then in the effects block right now, I have a compressor, which is actually pretty good. Check out the boost. As you can tell, there's a bunch of different things you can have in the effects block. There's even a pitch bender. That's something, but it's not what we want. I want to have a compressor here, so K-comp sounds good. Studio comp sounds even better. Actually, let's go with K-comp. Less controls. It's more simple. without it. Nice, exactly what I want. Boost. We're obviously going with the morning drive. Let's check out the amp settings. Looks good. We can also use the second input if we want to. But we don't want to, especially because we're using a tele. As you can tell, what's really cool is the fact that if I adjust anything here, you can see that the same is happening on the unit itself. Really, really nice. Cabinet is the matching cabinet to this amplifier, and I'm happy with that sound. I want to add like just a simple graphic EQ. So maybe cut down the low end a little bit. And that's a harsh frequency on the tele, so let's bring that down just a little bit. Yeah, that's going to cut through well. And then one modulation section, I want to go for tremolo. I just love tremolo on everything. And with delay, I prefer analog, something fairly dark. Light reverb, there's also spring room and hall strike. Let's check out hall just for the sake of it. Alright, I'm really happy with the sounds I'm getting here, and because I usually don't want to overwhelm our mixing engineers, I tend to use similar sounds even though I swap guitars. And for the VHC, I'm basically going to do the thing where I copy this preset and then just do some tweaks that apply to this guitar, especially with the EQ, and I'm good to go with that. Alright, I'm back with the VHC, and what I basically did was just adjust the EQ over here and maybe tweak a little bit of the boost. But yeah, with the EQ, here's what I did. When I'm playing just by myself, the guitar sounds better with a lot of low end, but in a band context, when you remove a little bit of low end, it just cuts through better. Alright, I got my acoustic guitar just using the piezo output over here, and here's how it sounds. I just copied the tele preset over here. Yeah, first of all, we're going to disable the amplifier completely. I'm not going to use an amplifier. With the cab, what we could do here is upload an acoustic IR, but I didn't want to go there this time. I think the piezo on this one sounds just fine, and I'm just going to disable the cabinet here as well. So right now, we have a compressor going on here. And I think I'm going to go with the K compressor over here, and let's see how it sounds. Take the delay out for now. It's nice. Then we can obviously use the EQ to tweak everything before and after. Yeah, that's going to sit in the mix way better. And there you go, we have the tele sound, we have the semi-hollow guitar sound, and we have the acoustic piezo sound as well. And by the way, all three presets are available for download by following the link in the description. And greetings from the editing desk. I wasn't initially planning to do anything about reamping, but then I was working on the video and decided to use one of my older tracks, which had DI tracks available. So I ended up trying reamping, and it was actually incredibly simple. So let me break it down for you how it works. The setup itself is very simple. I'm just running a USB cable into my computer, and then I'm using the outputs over here that go stereo back into my audio interface that you can see over there. As you can see, I have my Logic project open and my Trident editor as well. And the way I've set it all up is I'm basically taking a DI track and I'm running that virtually via this USB cable into the Trident. And then from the Trident, I'm actually taking the stereo out and running them back into my audio interface. And when you plug in the Trident using the USB cable, it immediately shows up as an audio interface there. On Mac, you don't have to install any drivers. I think you might have to install something on Windows systems. And basically what we're doing here is taking a DI sound and virtually running it via USB cable into the Trident itself. And in order to do that, you actually need to go to the Trident editor, click this wheel over here and select Reamp. And as you can see by the graphics, it kind of disables the guitar input and actually expects signal from the USB. So basically the sound goes from that DI track to Trident over here, and then it goes through the effects chain. And then you can either go from the outputs as I'm doing here, or you can go back via USB. So in an ideal situation, you actually wouldn't even need to run these output cables into your audio interface. You would be able to do everything digitally, but somehow I just didn't get it to work properly on my system. Might be because of Logic, might be because I'm also kind of chaining this audio interface with this one, so I got like 40 inputs going on, something like that, and it's kind of hard to figure out what's the problem. This worked, so I'm going to go with that. And now that we have everything set up, let's hit play here on Logic. And now we can go to the Trident and to actually tweak the sounds as the track plays. As you can tell, this is an incredibly powerful tool for music production. You can basically just worry about the performance itself and figure out the sounds later. Alright, let's check out the loop next, and we engage it by holding here. And because I'm not able to use my feet, this won't be like as smooth of a loop, but we'll give it a try anyway, so let's go. As you can tell, the loop isn't super smooth. We can also add to it if we want to. There you go, I'm not a master at looping, but you get the idea. It's really cool that you can have that here in the unit as well. I love the concept of this unit, and it feels more like a pedal board than a modular to me. And while in some sense it's a bit more limited than the NUX MG30 for example, the more pedalboard approach is something that will appeal to a lot of people. The unit itself is built like a tank and the I/O allows you to use it in almost any kind of situation. Tweaking sounds and creating rigs can feel a little bit confusing at first if you're not using the desktop editor, but once you get the feel of what buttons click when, you'll be creating rigs in no time. I would also love to see the option that existed on the MG30 where instead of kind of jumping between presets, you could use the foot switches to trigger scenes within the preset. So instead of jumping from one preset to another, you would actually just trigger different elements off or on within that preset using ABC. I understand why they're doing the left to right or right to left signal path thing, but I found it a bit confusing when the signal path was from right to left on the model itself, and then the desktop editor showed it the other way around. So maybe add an option via update where you could kind of flip that, just a suggestion. And actually speaking about the updates, NUX has a great track record of actually keeping up with the updates. So you can expect the new amps, cabinets, presets, things like that being added to this unit as well. At least I think this is what's going to happen because they've been doing that with other devices as well. Overall, I think it's a really interesting addition to the multi-effects market, and I could see a lot of die-hard pedalboard fans trying out something like this. And if you want to get your NUX Trident or get the presets, you can find links to all of that in the description. The links are affiliate links, and using them won't cost you anything extra, but helps put food on my family's table. Thanks, and thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, things like that. I shall see you next time.